Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terry Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up bright and early with us on this Friday morning. Today, Jackie, it's Friday. Are you excited? Because I'm excited.
I am excited. We have so much fun. We have fun plans planned
We
for today.
absolutely have fun plans, not only for this show, but just outside of this show as well. And so, funny, Terry, just a little background because Jack and I are all about authenticity over here, and we're just like very transparent. So, I hit the go live button, y'all, and the thing said is not going to be recorded because it's like we don't have any storage. And I'm like hurting back trying to like delete some stuff or whatever. And I'm just like, OMG, what is happening, OMG? So that's why we had like a slightly late start because I was like, I need to fix this.
Gotta save it. Gotta save
We gotta save it. So I'm hoping that I got to it in time before I hit the go live button. But I feel like it'll be there, but maybe it won't be there. But hint, hint to those watching backstage that can do the thing, because that was quite an interesting experience just now. But as y'all can see, Jackie and I are definitely ready to bring you some feel good vibes this morning, regardless of whether this episode gets recorded or not. Our feel good topic of the day is first date questions. We're going to be talking about the top questions that you should ask to get to know someone. And it's really funny, when I was putting together today's show notes, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually getting on a date with Jackie. This is perfect. I can ask her all of these questions tonight. Boom. I didn't plan it at first, but then like when I did the sketch, I was like, oh my gosh, look at the universe just doing a thing. If you want to laugh to get your morning started, make sure you stick around for our feel good vibe of the day. That is joke time with Jackie. But before we get into all of that, we have some tea that we have to share with you. So if you're not on Twitter, if you haven't been on Twitter since last night, don't worry, we got you back, because there is a trending topic happening over there. The hashtag is surviving Sophia. And it is really interesting what is happening over in LA. And so for some context, social media influencers, there is like a culture and a community around all of that. Now, apparently, some regular citizen decided to finesse some social media influencers and basically got $11 million worth of stuff, cash, trips, etc., out of the social media influencers just by saying she knows people. She doesn't know any of these people. She just happened to tell people that
she does know them. We all know these people.
Okay,
we just don't know these people. So it depends. Like, you should have asked more questions, done better investigation. But anyway, continue.
To Jackie's point, yes, we all do know it goes around these people, but we don't have like the actual relationship or connections that saying we know these people actually means. So our feel good one more question is, we want to know, do you think perceived clout, influence, and connections is greater than actual receipts? Like actually being able to say that I know these people in today's society? Because it seems like just based off of the hashtag, they got. So Jackie, they got scammed. But how do you feel? Like, do you think perceived clout is greater? Like, do you think that's more important in today's society?
It seems that way, because she got $11 million worth of goods because they thought she was somebody. They were about to use this girl for all the clout that she has, and they didn't do no research. Like, is she actually somebody? It's not.
But she name dropped some really heavy names. Like, she said she knew someone named Jack Harlow. I don't know who Jack Harlow is personally, but apparently he's connected to Drake in some way, shape, or form. And she name dropped a few other people, I think actually Drake as well, and said that she works at OVO and all of this type of stuff. And I'm just like, real.
But you didn't check? You're giving free stuff and you don't double check? Like, I would have to pick up the phone and be like, hi, does Teresa Stewart work there? Yes. And what is her position? Okay. And, like, her record. Like, I need statistics. I need information. Is she somebody?
And I mean, what's really interesting, because it's like, there is, a thin line between just calling someone's Joe randomly and asking information about a person, because, PIPA, Personal Information Protection Act, and all of that good jazz. Here in Bermuda, I think there's a similar something in the US. However, I do feel like just asking the person that she named if you know that person, because then it just becomes this question of like, but do you even know Jack Harlow or so and so? Like, do you even know these influencers that you say you know, because you allowed someone to just come in and shake your entire system? Like last night, there were a bunch of Twitter spaces apparently where folks were upset at this young lady for finessing them out of luxury
But
items, experiences, etc.
but then you're all claiming to be close. Like all the brands are claiming and influencers are I say pretending to be buddy, and this girl just walked right in and showed that y'all don't communicate with each other as much as you should. Like if you
Communication is very key, because at some point y'all had to have crossed paths. Like, okay, I was talking about this backstage with Jackie. Like, I get it. Sometimes, like on the first introduction with someone, you might not necessarily want to fact check them at that moment, because it's kind of like it's showing you don't believe them, and that can kind of come across as negative. So I understand on the first interaction, you might just, whatever, she says she knows so and so. All right, we're just gonna let it go. But at some point, you had to have come across so and so to say, "Oh, I met this girl. Her name was Sophia, and she says she knows you. Did you get?" And then the other person should be like, "What? Did you get her last name? Like, how did she say she knew?" Like, like I feel like a conversation should have been had, and no one had this conversation.
Let me tell you something. I've told a lot of stories in confidence, and people have gobbled it up and believed it. This girl walked in with confidence and walked out with loot. That's not her fault.
It's not.
I mean, it's messed up, but at the same time, you were about to use her for everything that she was, and she just beat you to the scam and punch.
I love that. I want to bring this comment from Janae. She says, "Hey, is it really her fault? She saw an opportunity." And that's what a lot of people were saying on Twitter specifically. That's obviously where I saw. I'm pretty sure it's going to make its way to other social media platforms as well. But they're basically saying like, sis saw an opportunity and she capitalized on it.
They're getting the clout that they wanted, because now all these brands that got taken for a fool, they're all known for, like, are known about. And it's negative, but it's not like super negative where people are just gonna be like, yeah, they're cancel culture is not gonna really pop into this. It's not that bad. It's just gonna be like, I'll still support you, but do better.
I'm always like, everyone's going to always remember this moment, because I think it also speaks to the influencer culture and like the creator culture, because a lot of people that aren't trying to be like influencers are definitely more aligned with the whole creator label, because influencers definitely have this perceived notion of being able to actually influence when a lot of them can. Like a lot of them have millions of followers and they can't even sell out of a product that they put out, or a product that they're working with, a brand that they're working with. And it's like, well, why are you paying people that have millions of followers all this money when you could find a few young or smaller creatives and pay them a couple hundred, and you might actually make thousands, millions back? So it's kind of like you got because all of y'all will put money in these fake people who really can't.
Well, they need to continue to put money into her and use her, because like they're both now.
Sophia is definitely she's an influencer. I don't care what anyone says. She influenced the heck out of the influencers.
And she's got it now. Like now she is, I don't want to say famous, but she's famous enough.
She's definitely infamous.
Right. This is going to keep going. A random girl.
Sophia's my hero. She's my shiro.
Right. She not only scammed all these people, but now she is trending on every social media outlet. One person.
Whole hashtag. I will legend. I will say that I'm little, like, I mean, I do love an alliteration. I will say that, but I'm not really a fan of her having the surviving part, because it's like, surviving R. Kelly. There's a little bit of negative undertone to that. But listen, I think it is also low-key like funny to like take that particular word and, for them to use it as if they're victims. Like, stop.
I was concerned, like when you said it, when you texted me this morning, I was just like, go search scam surviving Sophia. I was just like, oh, what happened? And I started to read all the information. I'm like, hold on, what is happening here? I had to go. I went down the rabbit hole. That's why I get that rabbit hole. Normally I come on this show at like, I put it on like 6:30, come in the studio like 6:30, 6:45. I was sitting there and I looked up and I was just like 6:50.
So there were, and I'm gonna come to a few comments because I would say that if you do go on Twitter, if you don't have a Twitter account, go get one just so you can search this hashtag.
Yeah.
It's like watching a Netflix documentary series because like if you just go through people's tweets, you're just gonna go down a full storyline. So I want to bring in this comment from Misha Public. He says, "Get in where you fit in," and that's exactly what Sophia did. Like shout out to Sophia because sis did her thing, and I am not mad at her. And then Tavika Hill, Jack.
But I mean, she definitely has to go. No, exactly. Now that everyone knows her name. Somebody's going to name the child Sophia in about 2 months. I bet you.
I'm pretty sure someone that's having a baby over the next couple week will probably do that. Like, you know, people love that. And so Jamal Hartman says if she did nothing illegal, props to her. And so hint, hint, Jamal, you don't want to go backstage and sort out some things, FYI.
Go back. Since you're on YouTube, you could go back real quick, watch the beginning of the show, and then that answers your question if you're like, what is Terri doing?
Absolutely. And so Janae says, and that's all it takes. Any publicity is good publicity these days. And I mean, okay, I definitely feel like the brands that got caught, it's not like a bad publicity situation, whereas like they did something wrong. It's just funny because they got caught, or like someone regular was able to use their system against them, which is probably going to then change the game a little bit, like because okay, people are going to now, you know, require certain things because whereas before everyone just trusted everyone, they're going to be like, now you got to prove that you know so and so. Let me see a birth certificate, or let me see this.
I want to know who's going to have her on their talk show first. That's what I really want to know.
Listen,
is it going to be Wendy? Because you saw the side by side. She is a moment. Did you see that one?
I didn't see it yet, but I definitely will. And I was gonna say, like, if I knew, like, I don't even know this. If you're like, I really don't even know because I've seen like a bunch of different memes. I'm like, I don't know if this is the girl or not. So I'm like, I would definitely have slid in that girl's DM and like, "Hey sis,
I've got some questions.
Let's have a conversation." Because that was hilarious. I absolutely loved finding that first thing this morning because it was just the funniest thing, especially on a platform like Twitter, because Twitter definitely goes, in my opinion, goes much more viral than other platforms because it like people are just like Twitter fingers are a real thing. And so I definitely appreciated finding that this morning because
there's no filter, so everybody's just like cracking pure jokes. So there's that banter that you get in the backyard during Christmas with your family. That is Twitter right now. It is popping right off. I love it. I am so here for it.
I am as well. And so we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then Jackie and I will be back with our feel-good topic of the day. We are talking about first date questions, ones you should ask to get to know someone. So make sure you stick around.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you're just joining us, our feel-good topic of the day is first date questions. We are going to be discussing the top questions you should be asking to get to know someone. So we're going to start this off by asking, what is the best or the worst question you've been asked on a first date? Now, some of y'all might not be on, in the dating scene anymore. Y'all might be married, and that's fine. You've dated before, so you can absolutely answer this question. What's the best or the worst question someone has asked you on a first date, Jack?
Oh.
While Jack is thinking, I want to bring in this one from Cheryl. So Jason Shirley says, "Who's your peoples? Not my cousin, are you?"
That's always so awkward. I'm just like, I hope not. And then I feel like I have to bring up my family tree. I actually will pick up real quick. That's what I do. I'll be like, I start listing off people, and don't tell me, oh, that's my cousin, because then I freak out, and then I'm just like your cousin, or Bermuda's version of cousin, like you all grew up together, but there's absolutely no blood relation. Like, which version? I need the definition of what
I need you to tell me, yes, how you define that, because otherwise I'm concerned. And I think what's actually pretty interesting, like I've only recently gone to like a few family reunions, like since I got older. Like when I was young, I don't really remember if I went. That's not to say I didn't go, but I remember going to a family reunion and seeing like some people that I went to high school with, like in my class at my reunion, and I'm just like, thank God I didn't try to date you in high school, because apparently we were related, and that would have been like extremely awkward. Just like a lot of people, well, not a lot. Bermuda's a lot. It's 5, but 5 people in my class are like my relatives. And I was just like,
yeah, I actually have a story where I was dating somebody. It was a year, and my granny called, and I was just like, oh yeah. She's like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I was gonna go hang out with my boyfriend. He's down the building, and she's like, who? Like, who is he? And I was just like, so and so. She's just like, hey, that's your cousin. And I was just like, huh? So I hung up, called him, told him the situation. I was just like, I'm so butthurt, like, upset. A year later, and she's just like, you're still dating your cousin, as a joke. And I'm like, no, because it's my cousin. And she's just like, I didn't mean cousin like that. That's marriage relatives. And I'm like,
what we need her to do is not do that again.
Like, in high school, that's the love of your life. And I was just like, that was actually a really good relationship. We built that off of friendship first. Like, there was so much work that went into that relationship.
There was so much effort, and you just killed
the
high
school too. Like, God, like whatever. It was cute. I ended up leaving the island, so it wouldn't have worked. But still, like, that was my brethren. So it was a joke back in the day when I finally told him. I was like, whatever. But
so guys, I want to bring in this comment from Janae. She says, if you end up not liking them, you hope they're your cousins to let them down easy.
Oh my God.
That is definitely true. I definitely look for some excuses to make the rejection a little bit easier, even though I feel like men are a little bit better with rejection sometimes. Okay, that's a lie. But I definitely do look for a way to make, soften the blow.
Yeah, worst, and I had to like ditch this person. I said, I hope they don't watch this show. I did go on one like date. I didn't know it was date. I didn't know it was a date. I thought it was just, I was sitting at the bar one time with a friend, and this guy was talking to me. I had a conversation. The conversation went well. We were just talking about everything, like sports, stuff like that. Sports was on the TV, so we was watching the game and then talking about it. And he was just like, oh, I really enjoyed having a conversation. If you exchange numbers. I'm like, absolutely. Like, this was easy. Change numbers. So then he's just like, oh, you want to go for drinks? I'm thinking regular schmegular drinks. So I meet him, and he's just like, oh, let's go get some food. And I do this with my friends all the time, so I'm not even thinking about it. And then he has a kid, and he's just like, so how would you feel about being a stepmom? And I was just like,
pardon?
I was just like, so at first, I'm oblivious. I was just like, well, I love kids. So it depends on the situation. Like, how long have I been dating this person, this, that, and the other. And then I realized he was looking at me confused. I'm like, oh, you mean you? And I was just like, oh.
That is awkward.
I didn't know this. I didn't know that's where this was going. I thought we were just friends. Like, I was talking to him like I was a dude, like the way I talk to people when it's a date, like when I'm feeling you versus when we're just friends. Like, I was talking to him like I was talking to you, like shooting you.
Talking to him like he's your brethren, and he was not in that brethren mindset at all. So I want to answer this question from Sean Smith real quick. Jackie asks, what do you consider a first date? Do hookups count? That's a very interesting question.
I think that honestly comes down to conversation with the person that you're hooking up with, because it could literally just be a buddy. Can't say the first word because we're on air. But it could just be a buddy that helping you to scratch that itch, and so you need to have that conversation with them, because just like my first date, one person could be like, this is just playtime, and the other person could be like, I want to have I want to have kids with you, and I want to pick a fence. And so their imagination has gone to, the retirement stage of life.
Not the retirement.
And you're just sitting over here playing mini golf. Just trying to get the ball in the.
I would definitely.
Sorry.
Jax. It's fine. It's early with the show. It's fine. We're all adults here. I would say they do count because even in those moments, like there is a question that you have to ask that person during a hookup anyway. So absolutely, they count as well. Like, sure, you're not gonna probably get into like the weeds and deep down into the person's soul unless they're like that as a person during the hookup as far as the questions you get asked. But I definitely think they count because if they don't count, then we might lose the spice. We might lose the fun out of your answer. So I want to see what the rest of the best question was in that scenario. I think one of these, so I have been on an awkward first date as well. I didn't think it was a date like you. Like I actually thought it was like a business lunch type thing. So I was going there.
That's worse.
I was going there like on some like, okay, we want to talk about business and like talk about what you got going on, talk about what I got going on. And it was
Did you have your notebook with you so you can
I used to what? I was definitely like ready.
She came in with a little black point.
I was like, okay, so here's her proposal. But I definitely
from the whiteboard.
Here's the projections. We're expecting. See how she gets up with attention? She gets up with attention. So okay. I think one of the word question, I wouldn't say it was a word question. It was just like, it made me feel weird. And I understand when people ask this question. I just think it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. But so the person asked me like the last time I've been in a relationship or something like that. And I understand where the question was coming from, but I wasn't prepared for it because I thought it was a business type conversation. So it threw me all the way off. And I was just like, I don't even think I answered the question right. Like, I think I just went off like to the left or to the right. I just think it wasn't a bad question. It just, the scenario for me wasn't proper. I just wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. But it happened. And we moved on.
I've always dated differently because I've never gone hunting for a relationship, if that makes sense. Like I'm not going on a date and being like, yes, this has to be my next person. I hope this is my next person. I go to see if you're even worth being my friend. I have to start off with the friendship. I have to start off with the friendship first. Like I need to know if you like, how often do you drink? Do you smoke? Do you like, and it's not an issue. I just need to set the picture in my head of what your daily routine looks like. How do you wake up early? Do you have breakfast? What's your favorite meal? Like I need to know about food.
Questions for you.
It's like an interrogation, but it's on a friend level, right? So it's just like, you know, would you ever go wakeboarding? It's usually just like dumb stuff, random dumb stuff, right? But it all makes sense to me. I'm like, okay, so you can hang out with me and like, oh, you like going jet skiing, like randomly? Cool. Because then, you know, I know that I can invite you to certain activities and that you will blend in. You know, we're Misha said, get in where you fit in.
Yeah. So
I ask questions that relate around to like my daily life and activities and if you'll be able to fit into the field. Because I'm not forcing anything. If I have to comfort you and mold you, I don't want to have to mold a partner. I want you to be who you are.
We're definitely not parents now, so I get it.
I just want to know if you can just hang out.
And so so there is a resource that we're using for today's show. And so they did have like 10 of the perfect questions. So we want to bring in one of the perfect questions. And I thought that this was an interesting question to ask. So the first one is, what makes you unique? And I don't think I've ever been asked that on a first date, let alone any date, to be honest. But I thought this was a really interesting question because, well, first of all, people like talking about themselves. Like, I don't know
especially Bermudians.
Like, oh, you just put you in the question and they're ready to go ham. So I thought this was an interesting question because it makes people like think about themselves and like big themselves up. And everyone likes to like, you know, make themselves feel bigger than they are. Hashtag surviving Sophia. So clearly it's a thing that we all do. Like, Jack, what's your answer to this question?
What makes me unique? I'm me. Like, I don't mean to be that person, but I don't know how to be anybody else but me. So like, there's only one me. There's probably people that are similar to me, but they don't. Yeah. You
Jack is
learn.
gonna be
That's why I
like
say I'll be
me.
like, you hang around long enough, you'll learn exactly why I'm unique.
What's special about me? And so, speaking of your 21 questions, Janae says it sounds like an interview. It absolutely, clearly is an interview. I'm
Yeah,
wanting
but
to know if there's application because
you
clearly,
just gotta see how I interact with people. Honestly, Terry gets to see today because I like to find, for some reason, I'm like the Oprah and I'm looking for my Stanley because I always seem to find people that aren't big on talking or talking about themselves. So then I get to basically pull the conversation out of you, and I like to. It's fun to finally get somebody that doesn't like talking rambling. It's the best. I go from asking you basic stuff like, so cheese or no cheese on your burger? Oh, you do eat cheese. Oh, I'm not a cheese fan. And then I go from there, and it starts off weird, and then next thing you know, you're telling me about your life, your 10-year goals, and how you want your house to look, and boom. But
so
it's not
clearly,
intentional. It's just people tell me that and not telling me their life stories because I start
but
off
you
with
started
basic
asking about
questions.
cheese on a burger. Like, how did we even get
Exactly.
here? How did
Watch
we get here?
today. Watch today. Pick any person today.
Okay, I will.
It's gonna be so fun.
It's gonna be so fun. Like, we're not gonna record this because, but I'm definitely going to come back on Monday and let y'all know how my date night with Jackie was. So I want to bring in this comment from Sean Smith. He says, "I talk a lot of S word and have fun." So you and Jackie will probably get along really well.
I feel like Sean was my brother. Like, it's supposed to be my brother or something like that. Like, are we cousins?
Listen, when we find out y'all are cousins, we're definitely gonna bring that up on the show.
What's it called? DNA
what?
something.
Oh, I don't know. Ancestry. That one. That's the one. So another perfect question from our resource was, what's something you want to learn or wish you were better at? And I also thought this was a really great question because, like, okay, Jackie says she's like Oprah, and so eventually she'll get people to this point, but not everyone is a Jackie. Not everyone can kind of ask those questions or feels comfortable asking those questions. So something like this to like help someone on their first date, like, that doesn't have the Jackie in them. I think it's a really interesting question because you get to learn more about the person as well as like what their interests are. But I was saying, okay, so what are you interested in? What do you do? What's your hobbies? What do you do for fun? Like, I feel like they're just so outdated. Like, asking people what
I
they
still
do for
ask
fun.
them.
I know, I get it.
Well, not for fun. I ask them what they do for work, and I'll be like, do you actually love it, or is it just the money? Like, is the money even worth what you're doing? It is. Okay, so like, is this a long-term thing? Because how can you...
Jackie cares and basically finds your whole life story in the follow-up questions. It's not the first question, it's the follow-up question where she does it. But it's cool, Jack. I see you. I got you. I want to bring in this comment from Janae. She says, I don't talk much unless I'm super comfy. So I definitely need someone who talks a lot to start the convo. And that's interesting.
Oh, Janae, let's go on a date. I'll get you to talk.
Should definitely get you to talk. No alcohol needed. But I actually wanted to ask Janae, do you consider yourself to be an introvert? Because I don't think, not all introverts, I think, are like super shy. But I do feel like certain situations cause people to be like, not as talkative than when they are like, I feel like super comfy. I get that. But I wanted to know if she feels like she's an introvert. Because Jackie is absolutely not an introvert, okay?
Yes, I can be.
I say you're not, and you're not overall, you're not one. Stop.
Oh, okay.
Don't lie to yourself. Yes, everyone, that's why I say everyone has their moments, but like you are naturally not an introvert to start. You're absolutely an extrovert. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. I don't care what you say.
I'll start off as an introvert when I first walk into the room, but it's more so me like checking the landscape. I just stand at the back and then I slowly move my way up. And I'm like, I'm at the front of the class. I missed it at the front of the class talking about that anyway, because it was, whatever.
We're definitely going to bring that back, okay? Put a pin in that one. Put a pin in it. So Jason Shirley says, go to one fat with these two. All you need to know. Why, yes.
Yeah.
This is true. This is very true. I wouldn't say that I have a different personality in the party, but I do not like going to parties and just being there. Like, I feel like if I wanted to just be somewhere, I would stay home. Like, I don't need to go out to just be still. So if I'm going out, I want to have a good time and I want everyone to have a good time. Like I'm going to be all up in your face. I'm going to be not all up in your face, like in a bad way, but I'm going to be like trying to hype you up and trying to get you to dance because what you come for. And parties ain't cheap.
That's, yeah.
They're pricey, especially in a panoramic. So we're going to have fun. Just saying.
Yeah, I will always have fun.
You absolutely will. So Janae says
It
she's
makes
an
sense.
outgoing introvert, if that makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. It absolutely does. I just wanted to know because I feel like some people, I wouldn't say they use their shyness as a reason to not talk, but I feel like because if they're an introvert, then it makes absolute sense. So I feel like when we get Janelle, she's gonna be a whole extrovert. Like, I don't know. We're not gonna see the introvert. Like, I really feel like she said that for the cameras. Just saying.
I wanna witness this.
It's gonna be fun. I'm excited for it. Sean Smith says that all my dates have come from existing relationships, so I don't have those first date questions. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's been my case as well. Like schoolmates.
So you kind of know some of the answers already.
Well, I mean, my ex was actually the first person in a long time that I had dated that I didn't know him. Like I actually, the story of how I met him is the
Let's go. I want to hear it.
So I was traveling. I was on the junior circuit, and we used to have MSN Messenger. So we used to have our friend Matthew Mills. I don't know if you remember him.
I do remember Matthew.
So he's the mutual friend. He was my ex's best friend. So one day I'm talking to Matthew, and then his friend pops on because Matthew had to leave. So I'm talking to him, and he's just like, "Oh, do you mind if I add you as a friend?" I was like, absolutely. Now remember, I'm traveling the junior circuit, which means that I'm making friends everywhere I go. So I'm giving out all my
MSN Messenger name or whatever.
Yes,
you used to get,
to people or whatever. But back then, I used to always end up with these old, like, creepy men that would end up, we all know, end up on my account and they'll try and chat with me. So every so often, I'll go through and be like, who's this? Okay, who's this? Okay. And if I couldn't verify who you were, I'd delete you. So I finally came to this person, and I must have done it to him all the time. He's like, who's this? He's just like, you ask me this every time. And then he like told me who he was. I'm like, oh, okay, nice to meet you. And then I checked his, I was like, do you have a picture? I'm like, what's your number? So he gave me his number, and I was like, oh, it's a Bermuda number. So I called it, and the person, he didn't answer. So the person whose voice I was listening to, I was just like, you sound like a grown man. We are 17, 18. Like, how do you sound like this? And then he sent me a picture. And of course, you couldn't do that video chat and stuff back then. So then So then when I came back to Bermuda, I was at Elbow working, and Matthew brought my ex to meet me in person, and I was just like,
such a millennial love story.
You're real. This is crazy. And then we started hanging out, and even though I must have asked these questions on MSN Messenger, but I don't remember because it was just generic. Yeah, he'll pick me up and we'll go for drives. And I was talking to, like, I'll hang out with him and talk to him like one of the guys. And then one day I was just like,
you're cute. That's what she did. She said,
you could be more than a friend. Like, I like the way you think.
I like you. That's how that ended.
And then like turned to love.
Such a millennial love story started on MSN Messenger.
So typical, right? And I used to tell people, like, I thought he was a middle-aged, like, pervert.
Yep.
Because
there were a lot of this back then.
They all kept coming on and the conversations, the history just didn't make any sense. Like, who's this? Hi, how are you doing? Good. What are you doing? Nothing. And that was the end of the conversation. I'm like,
that's boring.
It started off so mug, and then he doesn't talk a lot. He still doesn't talk a lot, but I would just interrogate him. He'd be like, what's with the 21 questions? I'm like, well, you don't talk. So if you don't talk, it turns into an interrogation to get you to talk. So I know you're not a like serial killer.
And so coming back to that, so Janae said she's not shy, but she's slow to warm up. And I think if we're being honest, all of us are slow to warm up because you just don't know people. And so to get to know someone, you should be asking some of these questions that allows them to, like, you know, let their guard down, feel a little bit more at ease. And I can definitely say Jacky and I are air signs. And so we're probably the best people to get people to
Absolutely.
open up
jokes.
because we're just so flowy. Like it's not that serious for us. If you don't want to talk about it, we ain't got to talk about it. You want to talk about something else, we talk about something else. You just want to listen to music, we can just listen to music. If you want to listen
I do
to silence,
awkward stuff like when it's quiet and I'll just look at them and I look away and I look. And I look away and I look, and then when you look, I look away. So now it's a game of. And I'm like, so how about this next? How about this next? And they'll be like, here you go. What? And then I thought that's hilarious. But now you're giggling, so you have like that happy.
You feel at ease,
chemical.
exactly.
Endorphins.
So I want to bring in this comment from Jamal because it's actually pretty funny, and this wasn't the intention, but we ain't gonna purse to it. So Jamal says, so basically if Terri and Jacky are single, they've given you tips today, fellas. Holla at your girls, LOL. I would say that, I know for me personally, I don't like generic questions to get to know me. Like don't ask me where I went to school. Don't ask me where I grew up. Don't really ask me what's my favorite color. Like those to me are boring questions. Like those are questions that I feel like, I mean, if you want me to write an essay about myself, I can. I want you to ask me, like Jacky said, like, do you like cheese or no cheese? Like, I don't like cheese. Like, I want to have a funny conversation.
Yeah, I ask dopey questions where it's like, what?
Exactly.
and I start giggling. I'm just like, it's a good question, huh? So what's your answer? You
I'm still
cheese.
waiting.
What's your favorite cheese? Gouda, smoked Gouda.
So, okay, sidebar, not on this topic, but it just made me think of it. So I started watching Colin's Black and White. And so his dad works at the cheese factory or something like that. And so he's trying to make these jokes. And it reminds me of Jack because Jacky has the dad jokes, right? So he's asking him these corny, he's saying these corny jokes and he brings up the one about Gouda. And I just busted out laughing because all I could think about was Jacky.
They're not corny jokes. They're not corny jokes. They're cheesy jokes.
See?
Cheesy.
I was just like, this is so Jacky. I loved it. I loved it. Was like a little segment, right? It's not the whole episode, but it was definitely funny. It just made me think about Jacky. So yes, although that wasn't the intention, we definitely wanted to discuss, first date crashes because Jacky and I are going on a date tonight. This is like the first time I've actually been on a date with Jacky. Like normally Jacky and I are out and either I'm out, she comes out, she gets out, I come out, or we ended up planning to go to a place together. But now we have made a conscious decision to go on a date. And I'm really excited because I've known Jacky for years and I've never just been on like an intimate setting with her. So this is going to be really interesting.
Except for when we went to Eliana's because I considered that a date.
Oh, that was absolutely our first.
That was like
This is our
0.5 date.
Yeah, okay. we didn't really ask each other questions.
No, we were too busy asking Lord Anthony Butterfield questions.
You're correct. You are absolutely correct. So that was a warm up.
I did ask you one question. I asked so are you going to get a salad for appetizer and your main, or are you going to...
The funny is she absolutely did ask me that question. And I think she wanted to ask me that question to see how much food I could eat. And then she learned that day, it's a lot of food I could eat.
It's a lot.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break and then we'll be back with our feel good vibe of the day, which is Joke Time with Jacky.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert. And before we get into our feel good vibe of the day, I have to bring this question in because it's not even a question, it's a statement at this point. So Sean Smith asks, okay, ladies, when do you feel comfortable enough to fart around your boyfriend?
It took me a while.
My ex
is the only person that I've ever passed gas around, but we were together for like almost like between 13 to 15 years, like for a minute. And it was hard to start. And I remember the first time I did it, I had like way too much cheese. Terri that day, and we was driving back to his house, and it was such a long drive, and the weather was bad, it was raining, and I looked at him, and I was just like, first, and he was just like, we've been together long enough, you could let it out, and I was just like, I don't think so, and I let it out, and he was just like, window is down, the inside of the car was getting wet, because I was just like, and I didn't do it again for like 3 to 4 months because I was mortified. So I will never do it again. He
hilarious.
tricked me. He thought I thought it was a safe space, and
it was not a safe space. I could say this. It definitely took me a good minute, and I would do it in like the most inconspicuous way. Like I would do it to where I was like it would dissipate before the time I got to my boyfriend at the time, because it was just like I just, and meanwhile he's over her burping and doing all this other stuff like just naturally, and I'm just like, say I don't understand how these men just do that, and I'm over here struggling. So Janae says, if it helps when you apologize ahead of time. I'm gonna try that next time, because I don't know.
I have friends that like, I have brethren that would come off and sit off with me, and they'll just like they're not cousins, but they're basically like family.
Yeah.
And we'd sit off, and I'd be like, really? Like, my door's right there. You could have gone outside, the bathroom's right there. Exactly. And they're just like, we've been friends for how long? It's not that serious. I'm like, I would never. Well, I'm still mortified from, and that took like, I must have been traumatized. I must have been with Chris for like a year, maybe at least 6 months to a year before it happened. And that was together. Wow. We had been friends for a while before we actually started dating. So yeah, well, I'm still traumatized about that.
Feel good vibe of the day, because I gotta get up out of here. So
let's do this. What is a witch's favorite subject in school?
A witch's favorite subject in school? Calculus? No, I don't know.
Spelling. What do you call a person from the Czech Republic who gets thrown out of a bar?
Slovakian?
A bounce check.
I feel like you've said that one before. I've seen that one before.
Well, you should have gotten it, because it's so funny. Did you hear about the ATM that became addicted to money?
No, I didn't. What happened?
It was suffering from withdrawals.
There's one thing about Jackie, her jokes will always make you laugh. And on that note, we hope that today's Feel Good Vibe of the Day has you ready to make it a great one. Thank you so much for watching and engaging with this episode of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pito's and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we trust we'll see you next week for more Feel Good conversations. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.